Okay, now that we've completed our tow form, there's one more thing we need to do before we actually start writing our collision up, which at the scene, we're going to want to make sure we issue a ticket to someone. So you notice we probably haven't talked about it yet. We have this little box here that keeps popping up. This is your quick copy box. This allows you, instead of having to go through and type everything in again, this allows you to pre-fill your ticket. So you notice it pre-filled the address there for me. On the next page, this quick copy box also has everybody here involved in this collision. So obviously at the scene it'll be a little easier to remember who you're going to be writing a ticket to. If you ever forget though, the person you put in as Unit 1 will show up right here. So you notice when I put these guys in, when I look down here, Trong was the driver in my Unit 1. Now it fills him in and allows me to move on. Remember on this one, we're going to say this had an injury to the bicyclist. Make sure you address this box, because if there's any accident enhancement penalties, we need to add them. So we're going to go ahead and say this was an unsafe lane change. You see it added the accident fee. Okay, so now I'll print this ticket out, give everybody their exchange of information forms, give Mr. Trong his ticket, impound the car, and leave the scene. Go somewhere safe, go somewhere comfortable, and now it's time to do our collision form. So we will double-click this one and go into the collision. Now you'll notice, since we already did our quick capture, a lot of this information is pre-filled for us. We have 2 motor vehicles, 1 bicyclist, and witnesses. If this was a hit-and-run collision, we need to make sure we check this over to yes. You're going to get to a point where you're going to need information on plates, makes, models of cars that you're not going to have. So if this was a hit-and-run, make sure you click yes here. If a fire occurred, not if medics were rendered aid, if a fire occurred, check this over to yes. Witnesses obviously is checked yes because we added one. This is also where, let's say somebody came up to me later and said, my mailbox was also destroyed. I want to be part of this collision. I'm already about to leave the scene. I already finished my quick capture. This is where you're going to add those people. You can add as many different entities as you need to here. It'll just pop up blank pages later on for us to fill out. If a commercial motor vehicle was involved, check yes here and follow the questions yes or no. Next page is your location. I'm just going to press next on every page to show you the error areas. So we have to put a collision jurisdiction. We have to put what city it's in. Now, the reason it didn't pre-fill Newcastle there was because it's not assuming I'm in Newcastle when I do this collision. I could go anywhere, so it wants me to put the city there. And then it wants to identify whether or not this happened in the intersection. Next page is Unit 1. So this is why I wrote that ticket before. One of the big things people forget to do on this page is down here on the bottom right. If you have not yet written a ticket, you can press this pencil and paper and it will open a fresh ticket for you to write to Mr. Trong here. Since we already have, I'm going to hit the binoculars. Any ticket that's been issued that's sitting in your queue here waiting to be sent to Mr. Trong will show up. All you have to do is check the box and it adds that ticket to the collision report. So that's how tickets you've already issued can be added to the collision report. Now, a couple other things on this page. Back in the first video, I mentioned I deleted the owner record because he is the RO of this car. I still need to go right here. This is the #1 error anywhere that people forget to address in this report. Check that box. That is what puts the same as driver on the RO information. Your sergeant's going to kick it back to you if you have a blank RO line. So if you chose to delete the owner record here, make sure you check that box. Okay, all this information here will be filled out since we did it in quick capture, so we can ignore that. going down this right here. If this was a parked car, I need to make sure I check this. I'm going to get goofy errors later on if I don't. So we'll do that. We'll deal with that with Unit 3, I believe. But make sure you check that for parked vehicles. If this vehicle was towed, make sure you check yes here. This will allow you in a couple pages to put the tow company on. If there were any trailers on this vehicle, you check yes here. All you need with trailers, I'll actually do that to show you, plate and state. And then stolen vehicle, was this a stolen vehicle, yes or no? Make sure you address that box if it was. Next page, again, I'm just going to press next to show you the errors. This is the codes down the side of the PTCR that you fill out on paper. Only you don't have to use a Goonie style decoder to do that. All you have to do is use plain English. Go down these question boxes, fill them out. If you put no injury here, it'll gray out the box below it. Any other answer, you have to describe the injuries. We will go ahead and put distractions in the vehicle. That's fine. This is the vehicle page to talk about the movement of the vehicle. If you have in this box right here, any of these parked options, you won't have to worry about traffic control or roadway. Any other action, you have to address your traffic, these traffics. So watch what happens. So I'm going to say they were going west to east, changing lanes, no defects to the car. When I press next here, I get 2 more errors. This is what I was talking about. Because the vehicle's moving, it wants to know what was the traffic control and what was the road type. Now you notice there's a lot of boxes I'm not filling out. If your agency requires you to fill out every single box, do it. I'm only going to fill out the stuff that's actually required. This is what I was talking about with the trailer. All it wants is plate and state. No more information on the trailer. Okay, so this one is our parked car. On this one, we'll go ahead and say that this car was parked. We don't really need the insurance info for a parked vehicle. If we can get it, great. If not, not a big deal. We need to check this to yes on this one, because this one was parked. And we're also going to check this to yes because you remember we towed this car back in the previous video. Because this car was parked, look at this. This is what I was talking about with that parked vehicle. It automatically filled in all this information for us. Now all we have to do is fill out this page. Remember, we had the tow, so we have to fill out the tow box down here on the bottom right. Now we got one more error here, and this happens a lot with parked cars. Contributing circumstance must be none. All we have to do to fix that is go back 1 page, change this to none. Now it'll skip it. So that's what I was talking about with the parked cars. That's why it's really important to check this box yes. It pre-filled all of this stuff for me on an unoccupied parked car. Made it a lot quicker to get through. Okay, so this is our bicyclist. Few different options with bicyclists. We have to say what their status was. They were riding with traffic. We'll say they were using a roadway. And we just go through these questions and fill them out. Again, when I do that, you can put as much of this information as you want. Okay, so we've gotten through all of our units. Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3. No matter how many units you have, once you're done with all of them, you come to this page. The road conditions, weather conditions, lighting conditions, work zone. Then you have this page, which is the CAD info. If you did your quick capture, this is already filled out. Local agency coding is not your ORI. It's not the WA KCS 0000. It's your local agency code for like a clearing code or something. So in the case of my agency, this is where I'm going to put my clearing code and my district where I am. You put whatever your agency policy tells you to put there. Now I purposefully got an error here. Back, it says, between this time, you cannot have a light condition of dark. It checked this time. This collision happened at 9 a.m. It's telling me it's not logical that it's dark out. So I have to go back here, pick daylight. It's a pretty liberal time frame for light and dark, so don't worry about that. Obviously, in the state of Washington, it can get dark pretty late. They took that into consideration. Okay, this is the witness page. We already put our witness in based on quick capture, but let's say we had one more witness show up. All we have to do is press Insert Witness. And we can put as much info as we have on this person. Now you notice I'm just tabbing through. It's just like data entry. Okay, that's it. At this point, you will type your narrative for the collision. And then in the next video, I already drew it here, but in the next video, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do the diagram. Once you've put your narrative and your diagram on here and you press Finished, you'll see that your collision is in ready to send status. All of your documents are ready to send. Obviously, you have to make sure you go in here, put a narrative for your ticket before you send stuff off. And then press Send Receive. Sometimes with the connection, it takes a little bit longer. Do your Send Receive, send all your documents off, and let your sergeant know. That's the process of putting a collision report together.